Hello guys, welcome to Sean's fourth pre-algebra tutorial today, and let's get started. Okay, so previous video we left off from this question, so let's start from this 2.12. Okay, so yeah, let's read it first. So the amount for food at a local restaurant is $32.45. If the tax is 6.5%, what is your total bill without the tip? Okay, so 2.12. So they said they bought a food that was how much? $32.45, right? And the tax rate was 6.5%. So there are two things we have to find in this question. First part is the original price. We have to find what's the original price, and we have to find what's tax price. So original price is just this, isn't it? So because that's just the plain price that we got from it. And to find the tax price, we would multiply this number by our tax rate here. So we multiply this 32.45 by 6.5%. By the way, we can rewrite the 6.5 as 6.5%. because half is 0.5, right? So we can just rewrite it as that. So the next step we have to do is we have to set up an equation. So since we're finding the total price, the net price, let's say net price. So we're finding the net price. How do we find the net price? Yes, we add these two. Original price with tax price, right? So let's write that. So the tax price was, the original price was $32.45, and our tax was this 32.45 times 6.5%. But you guys remember, we can't do that, so we have to change that percent into decimal. Yes. And when we do that, there's an easy way to do it. And from here, we can just go back by 2 places. So this dot has been moved from here to here, 1 and then 2. So as you can see, there's a white space here, right? So we just put 0 and 0 in front of it. So this 6.5% becomes 0.065. because I moved that dot to the left twice. So if we do that, I get 2.109, or which is 2.11 for this. And if we add these two together, what do we get? We get 34.56 as our net price. So let's see if we have that on our answer. And yep, we do. And we got the right answer. Perfect. Okay, so 2.13. If 3 pounds of apples cost $1.80, what is the cost of 12 pounds? So 2.13. So they said what? 3-pound apples are $1.80. I think that's very cheap. And compared to Washington price, that's very cheap. So anyway, and they said 12-pound is something, right? So this is what we have to find. So we have to put it as an X. This is a 12, by the way, and this is a LB, pound. Okay, so 12 pound equals x. So the next thing we have to do is set up an equation. In the word problems, setting up the equations is the most important part. So this problem is actually a ratio problem. So when we are doing ratio problem, we have to set these two equations equal to each other somehow. So they said when you're buying 3 pounds of apples, it cost how much? $1.80, wasn't it? Then this 12 pound should be over something, which was our x. So we're solving for x now, and in order to do that, we have to do this cross multiply thing. So we're multiplying this top one by this bottom one. We're multiplying this x by this top one, which is 3. So this becomes 3x equals 12 times 180. And if we reduce that down, this becomes 3x equals 21.6. And now what do we have to do? Yes, divide by 3, right? Yay. If we do that, we get x equals 7.2 or 7.20 cents, $7.20. So let's see if we have that in our answer. Yes, we do. So we got the right answer. Perfect. So the next problem. 2.14. The largest prime factor of 80 is something. Okay, so 2.14. Okay, so it says find the largest prime factor of 80. So the factors are two numbers that multiply and get whatever they asked us. For example, if they gave us 80, we're finding two numbers that multiplies and get 80. So let's find those numbers. So 1 works, right? 1 times what is 80? 80. Perfect. So, and what? 2 works. 2 times what? 40, right? Perfect. And what else? 3 works? Nope. So 4 times 20, that works. And 5 works also. 5 times 16. And 8 times 10. Perfect. So from here we're finding largest prime number. Prime numbers are the numbers that can be multiplied by only one factor. So for example, how many factors does this one have so far? 5, right? Yes, but primes only can have 1. So for example, 1 can only be defined by 1 times 1, right? How about 3? 3 is also 3 times 1, or 1 times 3, but that's same thing. And 5 and 7 and so on. So in this case, what's the largest one? Yes, it's 5, isn't it? Because 1 is also prime and 5 is prime, but 5 is bigger, so 5 becomes our answer. So let's see. Yep, we got the right answer. So that was easy, right? So the next question, 2.15. What is the least common multiple of 6 and 8 and 18? Okay, so 2.15, and it says find the least common multiple of these three numbers, 6, 8, and 18. And you guys remember from the first video that I posted, the finding LCD? I use this big L shape method that I usually use, and I'll use this again to find it. So first we have to pick a number that can be divided by these numbers, at least two of these numbers. So for example, 2 will be divisible with these at least two numbers. So 2 goes into 6 3 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times, 2 goes into 18 9 times. Okay, so since we have two divisible numbers again, we can go again, right? But this time I would pick what? 3. So 3 goes into 1, I mean 3 once. 3 doesn't go into 4, so 4 just comes down. So 3 goes into 9 3 times. So now, can we go one more? No. Well, we could with 1, but it won't do anything to it. So we just leave it as what it is. So now we take the outside numbers here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So what do we do next is multiplying all these 5s. So 2 times 3 times 1 times 4 times 3. And if you do that, you will get a 72, right? That becomes our least common multiple. And let's see if we have that in our answer. And yes, we got the right answer. So that's good. So the next question is 2.16. So how many yards of material remain from 30-yard length after 2 pieces each 2.5 yards long and 4 pieces each 3.25 yards long are removed? So let's see. Okay, so 2.16. So they said there's a yard material, well, 30 yards long material, right? I'll just put yard like this. So I'll just draw a bar, and let's say this was 30 yards. And what did they say? They said they cut off these two chunks. I don't know how long is it, but how long it is, but I'll just mark 2 chunks. And after that, they also cut 4 more chunks. So as you can see, first 2 is right here, and the next 4 is 1 2 3 4 right here. And what are we finding? We're finding this leftover length, x. Since we don't know what this is, we'll put this as x yards or whatever. So what did they give us in the question? They gave us that these two lengths were 2.5 yards each, right? So this is 2.5, this is 2.5 also. How about these ones here? These ones were 3.25 yards each. So how do we find the total? Okay, so let's start with these two first. So this, since there's 2 of them, we can calculate the total amount for these two by multiplying by 2, right? So 2.5 yards times 2. So when we do this, I usually change it to improper fraction first. So this becomes 2 times 2 is 4, right? 2 times 2 is 4 plus 1 equals 5. 5 over 2. So I change this into improper fraction and then multiply by 2, since there's 2 pieces, right? So because 2 is same thing as what? Over 1, these 2 cancels. So this is pretty much 5 total. So the first two section, first two are 5 yards long. and we have to find the second 4, right? Second 4 chunks up here, these 4 chunks. So how do we find that? Okay, so we grab this down here and change it to improper fraction. So 4 times 3 is 12, plus 1 is 13 over 4. Perfect. And how many are there? There are 1, 2, 3, 4. So if we multiply by 4 and we just cross because it's over 1, right? They cancel. So we can conclude that when we add these 4, the total length is 13 yards. So there. So we found these 2 length, which was 5, and we also found these 4, which was 13 yards. So when we add these 2, what do we get? 18, right? When we add these 2, we get 18 yards total. So that's how much they cut it off from the original 30 yards. So how do we find the x yards, the leftover? Yes, we first take the total, right? Total minus cutoff area, right? Cutoff areas, then we will have that leftover x. So the total, since the total was 30, minus cutoff area was what? 18, right? So we subtract that 18, then we'll get what? Leftover is 12. So we can say that the x is equal to 12. And see if we have right answer. Yep, we do 12 yards. So correct, we got the right answer. Okay, so that's about it for this tutorial. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'll be posting more videos after this one, so please subscribe and ask questions on the comment. Thank you.